Welcome to this explainer. We're jumping right into one of the most mind-bending engineering feats happening today, the mathematical origami of weight quantization. We are going to look at exactly how the tech industry is taking massive, gigawatt-hungry cloud models and squishing them down so tightly that they can run directly on your personal devices.
Think about this for a second. Have you ever actually considered the sheer physical size of artificial intelligence? It's a very real, tangible constraint. We are literally trying to figure out how to cram the vast, digitized intelligence of the world, the combined history and knowledge of humanity, into everyday household items. We're talking about your phone, your laptop, or yes, even your kitchen fridge. And we have to do it without the whole system just falling apart. Sounds completely absurd, right? Like pure sci-fi. But the source material shows us exactly how this is becoming a reality right now. It's essentially a giant physical bottleneck. On one end of the spectrum, we have cloud AI. These are colossal data centers pulling entire gigawatts of power. Building just one of these AI factories can cost upwards of $150 billion, requiring endless streams of electricity and massive industrial cooling systems. On the flip side, the consumer edge, your everyday smartphone. These devices are severely constrained by battery life and, crucially, really small VRAM or memory. It's literally like trying to force a whole ocean of water through a standard garden hose. To really wrap our heads around this scale, consider the hardware actually powering those cloud data centers. Just one state-of-the-art server rack containing 72 AI chips weighs 2 tons. 2 tons. That is the weight of a car. It contains over 1.5 million individual parts and costs around $4 million. So, yeah, needless to say, a 2-ton server rack is hardly something you're going to slide into your backpack to do some offline work at a coffee shop. So, how on earth do we bridge this massive gap?
Well, the fix is something called weight quantization. If you want a visual, think of it as the mathematical equivalent of origami paper folding. Inside neural networks, knowledge is stored as weights. These are usually really bulky, high-precision numbers that eat up tons of memory. Quantization basically reduces the bit precision of those numbers. You are systematically taking these giant parameters and carefully folding them in half, over and over again. You shrink the model's physical footprint, but you have to be incredibly careful not to tear the underlying structure or lose the high quality of the AI's reasoning.
Now, the standard fold for a while has been 4-bit precision, which is already super small. But developers are pushing it even further. They're squeezing models past that 4-bit standard down to a crazy ultra-compact 2-bit sublevel. Historically, this was a massive disaster. If you folded the mathematical data that tight, the AI's logic would just completely crumble. Sure, the model was small, but its performance was ruined, making it basically useless for complex, real-world tasks.
But what if we could actually stop that crumbling? Enter the BitDistiller framework. Think of BitDistiller as the master origami crafter. It's this highly specialized framework that actually lets these extreme sub-4-bit weights keep their strong reasoning capabilities. It makes sure that when you're making those microscopic, incredibly complex 2-bit creases, the structural integrity of the AI holds up perfectly. It lets the model stay brilliantly smart while becoming microscopically small. And it achieves this through a very precise 3-step sequence. First up, it uses quantization-aware training, or QAT. This basically preps the model for that extreme folding right from the jump. Second, it uses a math objective called confidence-aware Kullback-Leibler divergence, or CAKLD for short. Simply put, it's a way to measure and minimize the exact knowledge you lose during the fold. It acts like a self-distillation process. It takes a massive, full-precision teacher model and transfers its structural secrets directly to the tiny 2-bit student. BitDistiller is literally teaching the tiny model exactly how to hold the shape and logic of its massive teacher without collapsing.
But look, making it small is really only half the battle, right? It also has to be incredibly fast. To keep this folded masterpiece running smoothly on your local hardware, developers bring in systems like bit decoding. When an AI processes a lot of context, memory bottlenecks usually pop up in what's called the key value cache. Bit decoding optimizes the data layout directly for your computer's GPU tensor cores. By aligning the low bit structure directly with the physical hardware, it slashes latency by 3 times on models like Llama 3.1. It totally bypasses those memory bottlenecks, making your local AI insanely snappy.
Now, when we combine this local quantization with other emerging tech, we unlock a completely new execution paradigm. We've got BitDistiller shrinking the model. But what if it's still just a little too big for your laptop's memory? Well, we bring in distributed peer-to-peer networks like Petals to split the model across multiple consumer GPUs over the internet, completely bypassing single-device limits. And then we tie it all together with local-first search bindings like Vein, turning everything into a private, fully offline app. So, why does all this technical folding and optimizing actually matter to you? One phrase: total data sovereignty. Local search engines, using frameworks like Vein and Llama, act as incredibly smart personal assistants right on your device. Because these perfectly folded models run entirely on your own hardware, your data never, ever leaks to a centralized cloud server. There are no API calls firing your private documents out into the void. It guarantees 100% privacy, allowing you to instantly search your files completely offline.
This whole shift ultimately unleashes what the sources call the agentic edge. We're taking absolute data sovereignty and combining it with tiny, sub-4-bit models that actually match full-size reasoning. We're bypassing VRAM bottlenecks and leveraging peer-to-peer networks. The result? A massive shift in the power dynamic. We're pulling capabilities away from those gigantic gigawatt data centers and putting immense computational power directly into the hands of everyday consumers. Your personal devices are literally becoming self-contained supercomputers.
I want to leave you with this final thought. We've seen how mathematical origami makes the impossible actually possible, shrinking massive server racks down to a microchip without the AI losing its mind. So when the vast combined intelligence of the world is perfectly folded to fit seamlessly into your pocket or your fridge, what are you going to ask it to build? Thanks for joining me for this explainer. I hope it gave you a clear window into the incredible local AI revolution happening right on your desk.